Alright. What's going on? Chris Bushman back again for another stream. At least a little bit of post party sort of stream and late night and such. Looking at Panzer Dragoon Saga again. So, at least last time we left off, we just finished Disc 1, going to Disc 2. And yeah, so figured, after having some enjoyment with Jackbox games and a little bit of bourbon and such, why not jump into a little bit of RPG goodness, right? So, here we are. Absolutely. And good to see you on the stream, Mr. Sam. Previously to this here, we were having some troubles with using at least, I think it was the ISOs from coolroms.com. So I have some ISOs I picked up from a different source, this being a, I may have to actually load that up, hang on a second here. This being a ISO I picked up from another forum that did some fresh rips of the ROMs and such. So I'm hoping this will work a little bit better. At least Disc 1 worked a lot better. It didn't have the issues that we saw with the Cool ROMs ISO. Go back to Memory Manager here. And I'll be honest, I don't know which one I'm actually using here. Let's go ahead and delete. Copy. Delete. Copy. Exit. I do not. This is more of I had changed the saves over to make room for Daytona USA previously. So that's going on here. Oops, sheets. So yeah, it's not a matter of having the saves not there. It's a matter of I backed them up onto the cart and I moved them off of the console internal memory so I can have some room for Daytona USA and such. That's all that is. Yeah. And we'll see how I operate under the current circumstances of, party and such. Yeah, see, there I am. Boom. Haha. No, I have a fresh CMOS battery in here. Fair enough. Are these the only locations I have available to me? I guess the caravan is where we go.
あのでっかいの見た？
Hey, get a big one of some kind. Don't know what that is. So at least that's one thing I do like about the nomadic sort of culture that they have in these games, is that it sort of brings a little bit of the monsters. It's a very lame way of saying it, but the fact of you have this diversity of monsters, right, in the world of Panzer Dragoon. And when you have like a nomadic sort of culture or characters in with the game, it allows you the flexibility of being able to bring them in not just as encounter types of creatures, but also objects of commerce or even cultural or like fantastical sort of narratives, you know, like almost like folk tales of such monsters. It gives you enough culture, at least enough theme, to really be able to do something with the monsters, which I appreciate because honestly it gives a little more flexibility to them. It gives some credence, if you will, to having these creatures in the world of your game, as opposed to just being objects of your actions or of attacks, things like that, right? So I think Panzer Dragoon has that going for it. I don't know how far it'll take it, but at least that's something I was sort of looking forward to with this kind of game. Protected, got power guns, big town, such a place, so probably there is a place. Yeah, in a sense, where Monster Hunter, certainly it leans on the fact of you're having to learn the individual behaviors of the monsters. You have a little bit of that as well with Panzer Dragoon. I would say with Panzer Dragoon, you don't have as much of the, I would say, the sort of investment that you would have with a Monster Hunter, because with Monster Hunter, that also directly correlates with the equipment you build and things like that. Panzer Dragoon, it's more thematically, it might have some relevance, so certainly not as much as Monster Hunter, but still, I think there's some relevance there. So, yeah. I think to an extent, sure. But, yeah. But I've always enjoyed that sort of draw to the world of a game where it sort of involves its creatures and its encounters with other aspects of the world of the game beyond just the pure encounters themselves, because that's, you can easily have the content you create for the game separate from other thematic elements of it. And Panzer and, like you said, Monster Hunter kind of wean away from that and go for more towards other aspects of the game itself. Like even with Panzer, you know, it's kind of talking about some of the individual creatures here having behaviors and feeding in certain ways just when you stop by them. And while it's small, it does paint a little more dynamic of a world around it beyond what you would get traditionally. So yeah. So that's something I appreciate, at least. This must be the village we're looking for here. Yeah, exactly. You know, and it kind of helps motivate everything within the world of the game, because a lot of this kind of RPG, especially if you're sinking how many hours into it, you need to be sold into it or invested in some way. And I think with having that tie-in really helps certainly your avatar has a lot of that. But I mean, other elements such as the monsters and villages, things like that, have that sort of element that helps too. And I think it's kind of important for a linear RPG like this. Yeah, sure, there's the grinding aspect in terms of you're just going to be seeing the creatures more, but so I've been thinking, right? And I've been thinking partly with there's a mobile game I've been playing called Retro Bowl, which is sort of like this retro aesthetic take on football games. And this happens with a lot of simulation football games as well, where you sort of start attaching names to different players and abilities, and just when you use them more often, you kind of want to help them out, or at least have some involvement with that character, even though there's not really any kind of narrative personality with them, but it's just the only interactions with their performance on the field. But you still create a connection of some kind. And I think that sort of happens with here as well, when you start having these elements of the creatures in the world of the game, and thematically within the aesthetic that's trying to present in terms of this sort of craft, sort of rustic sort of emphasis on resources and creatures and everything else. You start having an attachment to these parts of the world. And I think that's important because it like you said, it does help with like monotonous things like grinding, for example, where you're going to be seeing them all the time, but also it gives you at least a little more context, or even on a most simplistic level, remember names and remember aspects of those types of elements within the world of the game. And those are all fairly important because as you go through the game, as you see new creatures, new revisions of certain kinds of encounters or creatures, if you don't have that sort of background, you appreciate it less. So I think that is an important aspect of this sort of game, to have those connections. Not like, you can get away without having that for sure, right? You can just have just random creatures pop up, for example. But without that, you do have less investment, less personal investment. What's that, the console here? Right, and especially with a linear experience like, say, Panzer Dragoon or other traditional JRPGs, the sort of selling of a particular atmosphere is very important, because otherwise you're just kind of going through narrative beats rather than having an investment as a reader, in this case, to the world, which helps bring along lulls in the actual mechanics that you're sort of experiencing, right? And I think also help motivate some of the... It gives like some ancillary sort of value in the encounters you experience in battles, because now you have another understanding of the monsters beyond just fighting them. Because when you're just fighting monsters, there's a lot of limitations in terms of what that can actually get you, right? Like, monsters could have personality just like items. Like, for instance, even this market here, or this city here, right, having, was it Zal nuts? Now that kind of item has more significance in this kind of town rather than just being something in your inventory, right? Like, all these play a role in how you want to appreciate the various nouns that are introduced in a particular game. I think it could very easily lean in terms of just mechanically what nouns you have to work with, as opposed to things that impact the narrative, or at least other context you have in terms of understanding the nouns that are presented to you. Which some is a kind of an appreciation of the nouns, or of the context in which they're presented, towns, people, plot lines, things like that. But it can even be how they impact parts of your character as well. If it's like a piece of armor that's special, or if it's like a sentimental sort of item. We usually see those, like even like the Yeast series, I think, is very good at doing that, establishing items as things of importance or of history with a character. And they provide a little more appreciation, a little more care to something that would be otherwise just introduced as a mechanic to the game. Which could be, it's nice for window dressing, but it doesn't necessarily get you a more understanding of your character, or at least something that's going to be selling you on investing 40 plus hours on a particular experience. So, I'm kind of curious of how Panzer Dragoon Saga will take that. It might take it well. It might be able to leverage those sort of elements in a way that's going to help sell an experience that otherwise might be kind of short, given what we've seen with Disc 1. Right, and that's fair, Sam. Especially with the fact that even with like the other entries in the Panzer Dragoon Saga series, all of the narrative beats and like world building aspects are fairly brief because of the arcade format it takes. It's trying to keep the action at the forefront of the experience. So you might get little text blurbs and little graphics and little cinematic elements of like birds flying around as you're going through a level, but you never really stop and appreciate those elements unless you replay a certain level because you either got beat or because you're replaying the game. So certainly this game falls in risk of having that because it's just done it so many times with previous entries. Oh, I do not have enough money for any of those things. Dang it. I mean, is Panzer Dragoon Saga going to be something to where it's most appreciated through conversation outside the game? For example, we have other folks who've played or watched the game want to sort of, think about or expand upon elements that may not have been expanded very much on in the game experience itself. Maybe, that might be an aspect of it. Like even like the day-night cycle. Right, let's take the day-night. The day-night cycle, for example. You've seen this with wait till morning, wait till evening. I'm assuming this locked door might be unlocked once it's morning. We'll see here. Let's see if I'm wrong. Alright, it's locked still. But, there could be parts of a town or area, like these folks here, that only appear or only give the information once it's a particular day cycle. Right? So, it's something that's not really deeply emphasized on? And I think to an extent this game might be just with the fact of having an understanding or context beforehand of what the game can offer or what the world the game is sort of doing. This is where I've been before, right? Yeah. It's kind of interesting too where we have certain areas that were on disc 1 now on also a separate disc, which may not be like a particular downside necessarily, but with like content that was on a previous disc now on the second disc. I don't know. It feels like repeated content in a way, but I guess it does make it more convenient to not have to repeat discs. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's a whole lot of nothing at this point in terms of like revisiting previous areas here, but I mean that's something else that has to be retained, I guess, in a way, for a part of the game. like I would expect when I'm switching discs. Like, and this is a very layman sort of way of approaching how these sort of things are sort of laid out for a user. But my consumer understanding of having like a game with multiple discs is that I'm going into new content and sort of separated from the previous aspects of the game. But now that I'm in disc 2 of Panzer Dragoon Saga and I'm able to revisit previous areas so easily, it's kind of an odd sensation to me, as I'm used to more of having these very specific or deliberate stage gates to even the physical media that the game is presented in. You know, this is a bit of a weird part of what's that do? Do I just go there now? Do I have to go through this whole area to get out of here? I might have to. That's kind of lame. I assume there's more things that to do in that one village to actually find the next plot point and move forward. But yeah, I mean, like, you know, there's a bit of a, at least, and then again, it might be more of an individual experience with the fact of dealing with a game that has separate physical media. But to me, it feels like that I should expect separate segmented parts of the game experience with that media, as opposed to having this blend, like even right now, this blend of multiple areas with separate discs as very you know, as insignificant as it might seem. That's a part of it. To me, it's a part of it, at least. But yeah, so I don't know. And like probably the earliest example I can think of is Final Fantasy VII, where it's like you start leaving towns and whole areas, and it's when you switch discs. Thus, it's a whole new segment of the game. It affects the feeling of progression. Really, that's what it comes down to. Where because I'm having to do these deliberate actions as a user to change media and things like that, I should feel like that, oh, I must be progressing through the game or having some sort of other change in my gameplay experience, which does involve having different maps, different characters, along with the change of discs. Like, it's all part of the user experience with it. Even if some of it's outside of the actual I/O of the console or the game or the device you're using to actually interact with the game, that being boards or controllers or computers, consoles, whatever, right? At the end of the day, it all does. It may be, it might be FMVs, sure, because I think with the Saturn it was just CDs and weren't using the CDGs or anything like the Dreamcast was. So yeah, I mean that would make sense for sure. Regardless of all that stuff, I mean, it's nice that let me to revisit some of these areas to collect items and such, sure. But still, it's an antiquated aspect of this experience, given where we're at now in terms of digital distribution and everything else. Alley, caravan. That's at least what I'm sort of at in terms of playing through a game like this and what expectations I might have. This town's got problems, man. And we probably gotta find those problems. I assume not much is gonna happen unless we discover these problems and do something about them. Oh. I had a little bit of whiskey. Oof. Oh man. Ugh. Not gonna lie, like even just trying to keep track of aspects of the game is hard. Blah blah blah, pay, blah blah, cool.
暇なら10番の話でも聞いてあげてよ。
Apparently Juba has something to say. Let's stay for now. Let's go upstairs. Right, we're both there.
解放区まで来ないと。森からは。
Sure. Food. Okay, so this town has a problem with
新生区のや
food resources and those in the Holy District. Look at things. So is that something I have to deal with then? Is that what we're going on here? Is that what we're dealing with? Let's find out. Door is locked. It's no fun when the doors are locked, man. Oh man. But it sounds like we enjoyed ourselves, sir. That's what it sounds like. Yeah, let's go down to where all the creatures are at. Sure. Can't open that. Cool.
これ
Oh man. I suppose these trying times have necessitated getting drunk over games, right? That's the deal. I hope your friends had fun. I hope I was able to contribute to the fun of your friends and such. I'm coming from a different area of the country, so there'll be some slight differences in approach and such, but hey. As long as I act constructively, that's what I care about. I don't have a map. Ooh, that sucks. There's no map in the town. That is kind of lame. Excellent. That's locked, yeah. Ugh. So, keep on going in here. I guess I'm gonna try to leave out this door. See if this takes me anywhere different. It does. Oh, it's this area. Okay. Oh, what am I missing here? That's the beginning of the town. Now, another option would be Chris just forgets about playing Panzer Dragoon Saga tonight and play something that's going to be a little more approachable, given his condition. Okay. Split here. Yeah, right. Alright, so it looks like at least I may have to become a citizen of the Holy District. Maybe they'll give me some sort of information or access to a different area. Not sure yet, though, what that might mean. Oh, man. Because we have the one guy down here, which we've talked to a couple times already. Dang, okay. Can I be a real hunter? This would be a shop. What do you got? Oh, same thing. Alright, give me a fight more. Ugh. Drowsy plus drunk, man. Hard times. Dusty roads, hard times. Well, good news is disc 2 works. So that's cool. I'm trying to keep a mental map of the town plus the needs of the town. A little difficult given where I'm at. Little difficult. So maybe I should play something else at the moment. Because I want to stream, for sure. And I think the Sega Saturn is a good thing to stream. But I'm not sure how much progress I'm going to make in Panzer Dragoon Saga at the moment. Just because, like, just having trouble keeping up with. Exactly. Yay. Got some information. Ah, don't fall asleep. You don't want to fall asleep. You want to fall asleep, sir? I want to fall asleep. Fall asleep. It's for the weak. We're strong.
品を毎日いじり回してる変人よ。この間記録機械とかをこしらえてな、そいつで塔の絵を描いたんだとよ。見てみな。そいつをやるからあとは本人に聞きな。夜が明けたらこっちに出てくるだろうぜ。合成生物のいねえ森ってのはいいもんだぜ。
Peer
こ
pressure.
れで
Blah.
新生区の連中さえいなきゃな。
What was that again?
合成生物のいねえ森ってのはいいもんだ。
Paradise, you know?
これで新生区の連中さえいなきゃ。
Sorry.
ここに流れ
People don't
て
like
き
the
た
Holy
連中
District,
の
apparently.
吹き溜まりよ。新生区に入れてもらえねえんだ。
Apparently, the Holy District is folks who just think highly of themselves, I guess.
そこにいるヤエルはまあなんだ、女っ気がねえと客足が鈍るからな。坊主もいっぺん相手してもらえや。もう少し大きくなって。
Oh, snap. If you think you can handle it. Oh, actually, hang on, you got more things to say.
聖なる方々、聖なる恵らさ、俺たちには縁のねえところよ。
What about the High Priest?
この町を仕切ってるのは評議会だ。その中で一番偉いのが
Makes
最
sense.
後ってわけ。
Okay.
なんたって守り火の番人だからな。夜になると街を照らす光のことさ。あれのおかげで構成生物が寄りつかない。守り火の火種は新生区にあるんだが、直に拝めるのは司祭ぐらいだろうな。連中よく平気で遺跡に入れるもんだ。神をも恐れぬってのは奴らのことだな。旧世紀のことにも妙に詳しいし、得体の知れねえ連中だぜ。
So you have this sort of class sort of struggle, obviously. You have folks digging through history to discover enlightenment, I guess. That might be the main motivation. That's where it came from, okay. You have... I don't know, it sounds like some smees of various aspects of this culture or what have you involved with this as well. I don't know, I haven't gotten the exact feel for how to think about this town or what its problems are quite yet beyond a struggle of the locals versus the Holy Council. I mean, it's pretty obvious that's part of it, but you know, beyond that, what am I looking at here, right? I may not be as plastered as other folks from tonight, but certainly feeling it. Not helping the processing of information for sure.
ゆっくりして。暇なら
I'm assuming John knows who I just talked to, right? Excuse me. Yeah, I should have this open up in the morning. That sounds like that might be the deal. So some relevance to the day-night cycle, so that's cool, I guess.
仕事
Dang, find another town? You find another town. Jerk. Shop, I don't care about shop. Moving on. Look. So what's on Sam's mind tonight? Hmm? Dude, it's daytime, man. Locked. Do the tunnel, I guess. Yeah. Turn in. Alright. Well, I might turn in as well then. Playing up by myself is no fun. And I understand. You've had a fun night. And you're probably tired too. Watch your mouth, kid. You know I am Alto. Future citizen of the district. Dang, okay. Calm down, Alto. You pay your dues. I don't understand. Why the district? Why money? You work for the district. Get back to them. I mean, if you're turning in, have a good night, alright? Get some sleep. We'll talk later, of course. As we do, as things go. Word, same. It's been nice to hang out, sir. Hey, I found someone. Cool.
Moともとあなたのものだったって聞いたんだ。それでこの絵の遺跡、塔について教えてほしいんだ。
絵だって？バカ野郎。そりゃそんな陳腐なもんじゃねえよ。投資版って言うんだ。それぐらい勉強してから来い。これだから外の連中は。
それなら聞いたことはあるよ。9世紀の記録機械。
見かけない顔だな。ハンターか？ C か？
まあね、そんなところだ。
で、塔がどうとか言ってたな。 あの遺跡がどうかしたのか？
塔の場所を探してるんだ。何かあなたが知っていることがあれば教えてくれないか？
おい、そんなこと聞いてどうすんだ。あれは俺が発見したんだ。要するに俺のもの。あんたに教える義理はないね。
I think you know something about the tower. I think you're fibbing a little bit.
あんたの出方によっては教えてやらんこともないけどな。あんたハンターだって言ったよな。なら禁止区域の北ゲオルギウスの話を知ってるか？
いや、
ものを知らねえな。そこに行けば9世紀の機械があるはず。
North of the Forbidden Zone, huh?
そういうやつだ。見ての通りこいつを修理してるんだが部品が足りなくてな。あそこはまだ人が入ったことがない。空中戦の部品もあるだろうぜ。まあんたがそれを取ってきてくれるんなら塔の場所を教えてやってもいいぜ。じゃよろしく。早いとこ頼むぜ。
Looks like I may have found my next step forward in this part of the game. Cool. So I'm gonna try to collect parts of for some ancient artifacts and hopefully be able to get more information about the location of a quote-unquote tower, which I guess is really relevant. I may have missed that part of this, but we'll see. I might just get us to a save point and then save it together, because, yeah. That's not what I meant to press. Oh, I got heal in. That works. Unfair. It's more of that magic back. Yeah. Close call. Yeah, escape. Well, I have to be patient with what I was doing, so it's a lot of that. Just go in the center so it happens, or just get more counters. Cool. Bam. Very cool outcome there. Let's go in. Oops. Save point, that's what I wanted. Yeah. And we'll end it here for the night. At least we got the next area we're going to here. Got it going. Yeah. Really quick. And we'll call it a night. So not a whole lot of progress tonight, but at least we got through the story point of this area, which wasn't the simplest thing to get through. But more so we have a direction to go, which I think is pretty important. Z, copy. Done. Alright. So, for those of you watching this brief stint, thank you so much for tagging in for at least a little bit tonight, but have a good night regardless. We'll do some more Panzer Dragoon Saga later on. And yeah, have a good night. Play some more games. Take her easy. Time to go put the BRB